the computers we're dealing with, I'm not as smart.
Oh, yes, you are. How are you, man?
I'm good, good.
You obviously getting ready for Richmond and then coming here to Michigan. I'd ask you that there's over the years watching drivers come out of turn two at Michigan. I don't think a normal fan understands. You guys are nuts. It feels like that's one of those you just got to send at corners, isn't it?
Yeah, this is one of the tracks I think in the past we've had some of our fastest speeds. And although it's a 2 mile track, which sounds similar to like Daytona and Talladega, the banking is just not as steep. So a lot more sliding. And with the repave, there's a little bit of variable banking where it's flatter down lower, and then it takes a big step up as you go up the track. So it's kind of like a
Right.
V. And yeah, you hit that wrong and getting some dirty air, little marbles on the tires, little debris, and I've hit the wall here, and it's easy to do.
How do you with so much Ross, so much sim time that you guys get? How do you simulate a repave? How do they build that into the equation?
So they go and scan the tracks. There's a company that does it, and then all the three OEMs, the manufacturers, pay them for the scan. That way, we all get the same data, and that's how NASCAR and the OEMs have set it up.
Right.
And so, yeah, after a repave, and every so often, we'll all vote on a track we think has changed since the last scan. It's really expensive stuff to do. I don't actually know the numbers, but I know that if Chevrolet is telling us it's expensive, then it's probably
It's
pretty
probably
expensive.
expensive,
So,
yeah.
so yeah, they scan it and then put it into our simulators and model it, and we can go in and tweak it and put grip where we think it's higher. We can take grip away. We can kind of paint it in. Think of it like with a virtual paintbrush.
What is I'm so interested in that component to racing because I think it's changed how you guys drive, and it makes racing even better in NASCAR. But what's the one thing that maybe they still haven't got? I wouldn't say down, but it's when you got to get to the track. There's some things you just can't simulate. Are you? Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. I am a simulator kid. So I'm 31. I'm a little bit older than some of these kids that have truly been in the sport only when simulators were a thing. I was here starting in 2011. There was not simulators like they are now. Definitely not for the teams I drove for. So now, since I got to Trackhouse for sure, but Chip Ganassi Racing before that, they put me on their simulator program and just let me learn, and had engineers teaching me and coaching me on how to drive it. So before I got on here with you today, I was actually in our rig, just 5 miles down the road from Trackhouse at Chevrolet for 3.5 hours for Richmond, and I was spinning out. I was getting tight, getting loose. But we had the conversation this morning. There are things that the simulator cannot simulate. It's just going to be a continued evolution. And I posed the question to our group: think about what it's going to be in X amount of years when we're all gray. What kind of cool tools are they going to have? Because we're trying to push the limits now to be on the leading edge of the other two OEMs. So there's still things that I don't think are real. There are things that are very real and hard to comprehend how real they are. But it's a virtual race car. But I was still spinning out. I was sliding the front tires. I was sliding the rear tires. It's pretty cool. But you're right. It's changed because 20 years ago, a driver of the one car, back in the day, they would have been testing on a Tuesday. Well,
Yeah.
we did it, but it was inside.
So driving for Chevrolet and driving for Trackhouse Racing, but obviously coming here after Richmond, coming here to Detroit and Michigan. I say Detroit, Michigan, obviously at MIS. Are you aware? I mean, obviously, you're aware that here you are in the home state for Chevrolet, and you're going to see Jim Campbell at the track like you do so many times, and all the folks from Chevrolet. Is pressure the wrong word? Excitement? How do you process that?
There's pressure every week. Every
Yeah,
week I strap into
true.
one of these Chevrolet Camaros. There's pressure to perform, and Jim instills that in us that they're here to compete and to win. So it doesn't it can't I can't give 101%. That's not possible. I hear people say, "Oh, give it 110% this week." It's like, no, that is physically it's not possible in my mind. I think you can get to 100, and you try to sustain that, and try to stay that as close to that at the end of the race as you started the race. And that's physically, mentally, in all of our efforts. So um, I'm not very exposed, I'll be honest, to the greater picture of Chevrolet in and around Michigan and Detroit. when I get that trophy in 2 weeks, I hope to walk it into the front office
Hey,
and learn
Sam.
about it.
There you go.
That'd be my. I think I don't have a key badge for up there. I have one for their tech center here in Concord. I don't have
Right.
one for Detroit. Maybe the trophy will be a good thing. I could just show them that. Let me
Well,
in.
we'll get you into the tech center. We can work that out. I'll get you over there in Warren. Maybe we'll get you one of the new ZR1, the Corvette too, so we can go run that.
See, I'm thinking more of the Silverado EV. I'm more of a truck guy, so I've got the 2500 diesel, the HD right now. But I'm on Jim and the greater group at Chevy to. I want to try out the new EV Silverado, so we'll see.
Okay, all right. Well, hell, we can get that done. I'll let them know after this conversation here, man.
Okay, yeah, do that for me. Thank you.
You were 12 when you started racing, right? That's first time legitimately racing.
Yep.
How old were you when you got it in your head, when you got the bug? You're like, I got to do this.
My very first race, we grew up driving things. My cousins and me. I had 2 older cousins that at the farm we were allowed to drive a lot of things really early on out in the farm fields and pastures. And then when I drove my first race, I just remember after the very first practice on a Friday night and then the race on Saturday, the feelings, it's pretty clear in my memory. And I still get, I didn't know what to expect. And I was more nervous probably for the second race because then I knew that I crashed in the first race and I was really slow and I wanted to be faster. And we had tried to work on the race truck and stuff. So I wanted that hard work to pay off. But it was that very first race. I knew that I had found something that made me feel different than a soccer game ever had or anything playing with my friends competitively. I wasn't ever that competitive and I wouldn't work at it. And with racing, there was a lot of work to be done on the race truck. So that desire to win and go fast drove me to want to work.
Oh, and you're fun to watch. I say all the time, I'm like, at the end of the day, it's a sport, it's entertainment, and everything about
That's
NASCAR.
Right.
It's a passion thing. And when I'm watching it, I want to know that driver that he or she, whoever I'm watching, cares as much as I do watching it, and it comes across when I'm watching it on the track, Ross.
Well, thank you. I mean, most of my competitors that I know, they care a lot and they're trying really hard, but sometimes the mistakes are what kind of get the attention. And for me, sometimes that can be pretty visible. I tend to do it.
It humanizes you. Honestly, it humanizes you. Ain't nobody perfect, and everyone's going to make mistakes. And when you guys do, and you show that emotion afterwards, you humanize yourself to so many fans. I think that's why so many men and women gravitate to you. And I'm sure at Michigan, you're going to hear from a lot of people who love that. This is the Midwest, man. We gravitate. I keep using that word. We are attracted to people who work hard, who bust their ass, and that blue collar mentality. And that's you to a T.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. Glad that we're being memorable.
Hey, well, you're doing that. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to throw something at you. I've been thinking a lot about IROC because I've seen Ray Evernham's kind of been messing around with it and getting out in some of the tracks. I'm going to give you 5 you and 5 other guys from NASCAR, any time period, living or dead. Who are the other 5 guys? I hate the one things. I'm going to give you 5.
Right. 5 drivers that I get to race against.
Yep. In equally matched Camaros or whatever you want to run, then IROC style race, but you can have 5 NASCAR drivers, past or present.
Seems like Mark Martin was the best in IROC, so I would want him to be the benchmark. I would love to race against Richard Petty in his prime. I would love to race against, it's only 2 guys. There's so many.
I know.
I've raced against some of them more recently, so not any of them. Cale Yarborough, never got to meet him.
Which, by the way, you remind me a lot of Cale, the way you drive.
I've watched him a lot.
Do.
Yeah. Watched a lot of videos, but never. I wish I could have gotten to meet him. I would probably I've gotten to know the Wood brothers a little bit, so I'd like to let them pick somebody. I just think that would be cool if they put a driver in. They just know so much of the history of all those drivers and watch
Pearson. It'd probably be Pearson.
It'd have to. I mean,
if you got Richard out there, you got to put Pearson just to piss him off.
And I don't know. I'll do 4, and then I'll let you pick one. I'm carrying the weight here.
Senior, you gotta have Dale out there.
Okay.
The way he drove.
Did I not pick? I thought I picked him. Who were my 4?
No, you had Martin. Who'd you have? Martin, Richard,
Yarborough.
You
said Pearson,
Pearson,
Petty,
and then say it. Yeah. And then senior.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. See, not your normal question. I wanted to throw something at you.
I like that.
What's it like driving a car? Is it exciting when you go around the track all that time, man? It's so much fun to watch you guys in NASCAR. It's the level of competition. There are no back markers anymore. They're really not. I mean, you guys front to back every week. You got to bring it in Richmond, and when you come here to Michigan, you know you got to bring it.
That's right.
You ever had a Coney, by the way? Have you ever had a Coney dog when you come here to Michigan?
No.
You're killing me, Ross. I'm trying to sell you to Jim Campbell. You got to go to the tech center when you win, and then you got to have a Coney dog.
Okay.
Got you a Coney dog?
No.
Oh, what about Detroit style pizza?
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, you've done that. So I got to drive to Brooklyn and bring you a Coney dog.
Okay. Need to work on that.
You're like, what the hell's he talking?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it. I've seen pictures, but no, never in person.
Okay. All right. We'll take care of you. Ross, congratulations on everything with Trackhouse Racing and what you're doing, man. Good luck. Stay safe, kick ass, and we'll see you here in Michigan.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bud.